Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going deep on this idea of like pushing ourselves further, but not just for us, for something bigger.
Right.
We're going to be diving into this piece called Racing Extra Milestones. It's really about pulling these insightful lessons from Islamic teachings.
Okay.
So get ready, because we're going to be thinking about like what striving for excellence really means, what it looks like,
Yeah.
in real life.
Yeah. I think what's so interesting about this piece is how it uses this verse from the Quran
Okay.
to kind of kick off this whole idea. Surah Al-Hadid, ayah 21.
Right.
It uses the word sabiko, and it's really emphasizing this active pursuit of good, like pushing ourselves beyond what's comfortable, as we're used to.
Sabiko, it's got that like energy to it.
It does.
It's like competitive. I'm thinking about like athletes
Right.
training for the Olympics, that like laser focus. But here we're competing for something way bigger.
Exactly. And the verse actually talks about this competition to earn God's forgiveness and paradise. It's a pretty powerful reminder to like check our priorities. I feel like we get so caught up in like the day-to-day, just like chasing after all this stuff that doesn't even last. And this verse is really pulling us back to what truly matters, those goals that are actually going to last forever.
Yeah, it's like a gut check for sure.
Yeah.
And this source goes on to talk about personal reform.
Okay.
As like a starting point. It calls it the minimalist goal.
Right.
I feel like it's something that anyone can relate to, no matter like where you come from, what your background is. Like we all have this desire to improve ourselves, right?
Yeah.
To become better.
Absolutely. And, self-improvement is definitely important, but the source quickly broadens the scope.
Okay.
It introduces this idea of the concerned Muslim citizen.
Yeah.
So it's like highlighting how faith isn't just about being a good person yourself.
Right.
It's also about taking responsibility for your community and working to make positive changes out there in the world.
Like a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Like our personal growth flows outwards. It benefits everyone around us.
Yeah.
And the source also brings up prophets.
Okay.
Like Lut and Shoaib, who fought against injustice in their societies. They weren't content with just being personally good, personally pious. They were really driven to make things better for everybody.
Yeah, and their examples show us how important it is to connect personal growth with social responsibility.
Right.
Like we all have that potential to make a difference, right, in our own circles, in our own communities. And it's a really potent reminder that, big change often starts small, with individuals taking action.
Yeah. Now, here's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
The source argues that challenges and hardships, they can actually lift us up, prepare us for bigger things. The author even talks about their own struggles with illness,
right,
as an example. And it's just this like powerful shift in perspective. Instead of seeing obstacles as setbacks, we can see them as opportunities to grow.
Yeah, it's easy to feel defeated when things get tough. But the idea that those same challenges can refine us is really empowering. Think about it. Like, so many people have achieved incredible things by overcoming huge hurdles. Their stories remind us that resilience and grit often come from facing adversity.
And then the source gets into this story of the slander of Aisha.
Okay.
And Abu Bakr's incredible act of forgiveness.
Powerful.
This ties back to the verse in Surah An-Nur about overlooking transgressions.
Yeah.
Just makes you think about like the strength it takes to forgive.
Yeah.
Especially when it's so difficult.
Yeah, there's so much depth to this story. Like on the surface, it's an amazing example of mercy and kindness, choosing compassion over getting revenge.
Right.
But it also shows us how important it is to think about the well-being of the community, even when you're hurting yourself.
Right.
Abu Bakr's actions demonstrate like a deep understanding of how connected we all are and how our actions impact everyone.
It's like a profound reminder that forgiveness and understanding can be the strongest way to respond to these tough situations. This concluding statement in the source really hit me hard. It says, Jannah is very expensive. It felt like a wake-up call, telling us that the greatest rewards, they require real effort and a willingness to push beyond what's comfortable for us.
That phrase really sticks with you, doesn't it?
It does.
It really highlights how we can't just go through life like coasting, expecting to reach our full potential. It takes real dedication, pushing ourselves beyond our limits to reach Jannah, paradise. And what's really powerful about that idea of Jannah being expensive is that it's not about money or possessions.
Right.
It's about investing our time, effort, and sincerity.
So then how do we make that investment, practically speaking? What does striving for excellence in this pursuit of Jannah, what does it look like?
That's where this whole idea of racing extra milestones comes in.
Okay.
And it's not about being perfect, which is impossible. It's about constantly striving to go further, to do a little better each day. The source actually breaks it down into these 7 life lessons.
Okay, cool.
Which we're going to dive into next.
Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah. These life lessons, they take those, sometimes those big ideas, those concepts, and they make them like, real for our lives.
Yeah.
So the author's saying like, okay, here's the map. Now let's figure out how to use it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just theory. It's like giving us actual steps to take.
Right.
And that first one, it really goes back to that healthy competition thing we were talking about.
Fair.
Not for worldly gain, though, but for the sake of, getting to paradise.
Right. It's about shifting our focus from those like fleeting desires to something that actually lasts forever.
Totally.
It's like, when you think about an athlete who's training for the Olympics, they're not doing it for like the fame or the attention, right? Mm-hmm. It's for that ultimate achievement, that legacy.
And this second point, it kind of brings us back down to earth a little bit.
Okay.
It's acknowledging that this path, this journey, it's not always easy. It highlights these 2 main obstacles that we all face. Distractions and resistance.
Yeah.
Distractions are those things that like pull us away from our goals.
Right.
And then resistance is what makes us like question our efforts.
Makes you want to give up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the third lesson, it offers like an antidote to that.
Okay.
It's saying, keep going. Keep doing those good things that please God. Like stay focused on what matters.
Right. Our obligations to God and to each other.
Exactly. It's like that saying, focus on the good and the good gets better.
I like that.
And the source also emphasizes good character.
Okay.
Like embodying the qualities of Prophet Muhammed, peace be upon him.
Right.
Honesty, being helpful, kindness. These are the things that like build a just and compassionate society.
Absolutely. And then the 4th lesson, it adds another layer to that.
Okay.
Surround yourself with good company.
Yes.
People who inspire you to grow and do better.
Right. Because our social circles, they have such a big influence.
Yeah.
Being in those environments that lift you up and motivate you, that's so important.
It is. It's like we all know how negativity can be contagious, right?
Oh, yeah.
So surrounding yourself with positive influences, people who are striving for good, it's crucial for our own growth.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
Point number 5 is all about consistency.
Okay.
Not giving up on the good work we've started, even when things get tough.
Perseverance, it's key.
Yeah.
Because real progress, it doesn't happen overnight, right?
It doesn't.
It takes consistent effort. And we shouldn't let, those little setbacks knock us off course.
It's about the long game.
Exactly.
And speaking of setbacks,
yeah.
Point 6, this one reminds us to not dwell on our failures.
Okay.
But to see them as opportunities to learn and grow.
Right. They're not roadblocks. They're like stepping stones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's like a whole mindset shift.
It is.
Because fear of failure, that can be so paralyzing.
It can.
But this point, it's encouraging us to embrace challenges, knowing that even if we mess up, we can learn from it and come back stronger.
It's that growth mindset.
Exactly.
Right? It's so important.
And then the final point, point 7, this one brings in a dose of humility.
Okay.
It says that ultimately, it's God's mercy that gets us into paradise.
Right.
Our good deeds alone aren't enough.
It's a good reminder to approach everything with humility, right?
Yes.
Acknowledging that all the good in our lives comes from God.
Yeah.
And to always seek his forgiveness and guidance.
Because ultimately, our success is in his hands.
Exactly.
It's really amazing how these life lessons take these big concepts and make them so real, like so applicable to our everyday lives. Yeah, it feels like we're getting this toolkit, to actually go out and use these ideas.
Definitely. And that last point about God's mercy, that's so important, right? Doesn't mean our efforts don't matter.
Right.
But it's a reminder to do everything with gratitude and humility.
Yeah, yeah. So we've talked a lot today about this idea of striving for excellence, but not just for ourselves. Like it's got to be for something bigger.
Yeah.
So how do we take all this stuff and like actually use it in our lives?
Well, I think what's so cool about this racing extra milestones idea is that it encourages us to like see everything as a chance to go further. It's not about being perfect overnight. It's about trying to be a little better each day.
So it's like progress over perfection.
Exactly. Like every step we take, every act of kindness, every effort to improve ourselves in the world, it all matters.
Yeah.
Think of it like, training for a marathon. You don't just start running 26 miles.
Right.
You start with small goals, right? And build up your strength over time.
That's a good analogy. Okay, so where do we start? What would be a good, first mile for someone?
I think it goes back to that personal reform idea.
Okay.
It could be something small, like committing to a daily act of kindness, or working on a character trait, or even just taking some time to reflect and reconnect with your purpose.
It's about building those good habits.
Yeah, those small steps that lead to bigger changes over time.
And we're not alone in this.
No, not at all. We're part of a community.
Right.
And we can support each other.
Yeah, find those people who push us to be better, friends that remind us of our goals, celebrate our wins.
Absolutely. And don't forget how powerful even small acts of kindness can be. A kind word, helping someone out, just trying to make someone's day a little better.
It can go a long way.
It can. Because we all have that potential to make a difference, right? No matter how small it might seem.
It all adds up. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with something to think about.
Yeah.
If Jannah is expensive, meaning it takes our constant effort, what extra mile are you willing to take on today in your own life and your community? What step can you take, even a small one, to get closer to that goal of excellence?
It's a big question, but it's an important one. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. We hope you leave feeling inspired and ready to start your own journey of striving for excellence.
Absolutely. See you next time.